Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. There are two ways to be fooled. One is to believe what isn't true, the other is to refuse to believe what is true. Take a chance and you may lose. Take not a chance and you have lost already. The most painful state of being is remembering the future, particularly the one you'll never have. It's better to get lost in the passion than to lose the passion. The most common form of despair is not being who you are. Do it or don't do it, you will regret both. To dare is to lose one's footing momentarily. Not to dare is to lose oneself. The crucial thing is to find a truth which is truth for me, to find the idea for which I am willing to live and die. The highest and most beautiful things in life are not to be heard about, nor read about, nor seen, but, if one will, are to be lived. Who am I? How did I come into the world? Why was I not consulted? I'm so misunderstood that people misunderstand me even when I tell them I'm misunderstood. For without risk there is no faith, and the greater the risk, the greater the faith. People demand freedom of speech as a compensation for the freedom of thought which they seldom use. The greatest hazard of all, losing oneself, can occur very quietly in the world, as if it were nothing at all. No other loss can occur so quietly. Any other loss, an arm, a leg, $5, a wife, etc., is sure to be noticed. Face the facts of being what you are, for that is what changes what you are. Most people are subjective toward themselves and objective toward all others, frightfully objective sometimes, but the task is precisely to be objective toward oneself and subjective toward all others. I am so stupid that I cannot understand philosophy. The antithesis of this is that philosophy is so clever that it cannot comprehend my stupidity. These antitheses are mediated in a higher unity, in our common stupidity. The more a person limits himself, the more resourceful he becomes. Patience is necessary, and one cannot reap immediately where one has sown. To be a teacher in the right sense is to be a learner. I am not a teacher, only a fellow student. Whoever has learned to be anxious in the right way has learned the ultimate. The Bible is very easy to understand. But we Christians are a bunch of scheming swindlers. We pretend to be unable to understand it because we know very well that the minute we understand, we are obliged to act accordingly. It is not the path which is the difficulty, rather, it is the difficulty which is the path. Therefore do not deceive yourself. Of all deceivers fear most yourself. There is nothing with which every man is so afraid as getting to know how enormously much he is capable of doing and becoming. It belongs to the imperfection of everything human that man can only attain his desire by passing through its opposite. The highest of all is not to understand the highest, but to act upon it. This, then, is the ultimate paradox of thought, to want to discover something that thought itself cannot think. I see it all perfectly. There are two possible situations. One can either do this or that. My honest opinion and my friendly advice is this: do it or do not do it. You will regret both. The tyrant dies and his rule is over. The martyr dies and his rule begins. People settle for a level of despair they can tolerate and call it happiness. I have only one confidant, and that is the silence of night. If anyone on the verge of action should judge himself according to the outcome, he would never begin. No time of life is so beautiful as the early days of love, when with every meeting, every glance, one fetches something new home to rejoice over. What is a poet? An unhappy person who conceals profound anguish in his heart, but whose lips are so formed that as sighs and cries pass over them they sound like beautiful music. I believe that there is a longing in my soul that searches the whole world. What if everything in the world were a misunderstanding? What if laughter were really tears? Had I to carve an inscription on my tombstone, I would ask for none other than the individual. Happiness is the greatest hiding place for despair. A human being is a spirit. But what is spirit? Spirit is the self. But what is self? The self is a relation that relates itself to itself, or is the relations relating itself to itself in the relation. In my great melancholy, I loved life, for I love my melancholy. To pace about, looking to obtain status, looking to attain importance, I can think of nothing more ridiculous. It is perfectly true, as philosophers say, that life must be understood backwards. But they forget the other proposition, that it must be lived forwards. Thanks for watching. Please support my channel. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for regular content. Like, comment and share. See you next time.